tuned in to the Community Cats Podcast. Ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Community Cats Podcast. I'm your host, Stacy LeBaron. I've been involved helping homeless cats for over 20 years with the Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society. The goal of this podcast is to expose you to amazing people who are improving the lives of cats. I hope these interviews will help you learn how you can turn your passion for cats into action. And today we're speaking with Vanessa Forney. Vanessa is the founder and president of Bay Area Cats, an organization in Sunnyvale, California, focused on spay neuter for pets and trap neuter return. She got involved in TNR in 2020 when she stumbled upon a kitten in her own neighborhood and went on to trap 27 cats and kittens around the neighborhood. Realizing there was a lack of information about TNR in the area, she began a website and Instagram to educate the community about trapping and the resources available locally. She also started a Facebook group that now has over 3,000 trappers and community members. In addition, Bay Area Cats offers monthly TNR workshops at a local cat lounge. Since 2020, Vanessa has personally trapped over 2,500 cats and kittens using effective trapping techniques like trap training, mass trapping, and remote control traps. Early in the journey, she learned about targeted TNR and realized that mass trapping and focusing on a smaller area would have the most impact on cat overpopulation. Over the years, she has built an efficient volunteer trapping team in Sunnyvale and throughout the South Bay area, where they are able to target entire neighborhoods of up to 50 cats at a time. In 2022, the team got together to form Bay Area Cats as a 501c3 in order to increase spay-neuter offerings in the community and provide a way to fix pets in neighborhoods where they were trapping. Since 2022, Bay Area Cats has helped spay-neuter thousands of cats every year. More recently, they've been partnering with a local mobile clinic to host 40 cat TNR clinics twice a month. Through the high-volume TNR and spay-neuter in Sunnyvale, they have seen a significant reduction in cats and kittens taken into the local shelter and a big reduction in requests for help to them and to animal control. Bay Area Cats' mission is to decrease the number of unfixed cats in the community. It's clear that the only way out of overpopulation at overcrowded shelters is through widely accessible and affordable spay-neuter. That is what they have set out to do. And in the future, they will be hosting free spay-neuter clinic at a local library and hosting high-quality, high-volume spay-neuter training at one of the nearby shelters. Wow, Vanessa, boy, you have done a lot in a handful of years. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So our first question is always, how'd you get to be so passionate about cats? And I can just even tell from the bio, you're not passionate about one cat. You're passionate about more than one cat.
Yes, I am. And I've always been passionate about animals. I've always had a dog and a cat in my life and volunteered at shelters doing mostly the dog walking. And yeah, it wasn't until 2020 when I ran into a kitten when I was out walking my dog. And that kind of really spearheaded my cat journey. And so we just continued down that path. And I started just by learning the trapping, learning what was going on, and got more passionate over the years and still am passionate about solving the cat overpopulation and just education. It's just so important.
It takes a lot of our listeners out there and folks that have been out there doing trap neuter return. I feel like it takes them a while to move from the one cat mentality, which is important, to the targeted, the strategic, like how do we make an impact that has sustainability, long-term impact in the community. I feel like, well, I can just speak for myself. It took me from 1994 to 2008 to get to that place of understanding that high volume, high quality spay neuter needed to play a role at all levels in order to reduce cat overpopulation. So for me, it took me 14 years to get to that point. How did you really sort of speed pass through and get to that strategic thinking versus that like rescue-reactive thinking?
Yeah, I think it was just the sheer number of chats and requests that were coming in. Like I was realizing like I can't keep spending so much time fostering and adopting. Like the first kittens that I rescued, I did foster them myself. We did a GoFundMe and like I had these kittens for, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, and they had ringworm and coccidia and all the diseases. And that was all my focus. And so even just trapping the adults in the neighborhood, I had to shift away from the kittens that I had in foster. And with the other litters that I was finding, because of course this was in August, so all the females had litters. So it was not only finding the mom cat, but also having to find her kittens. And so after the first litter, I was already full on foster. So I had to start networking with other rescues. And then just realizing that I can't keep pulling out every single friendly cat and kitten. And also that in these neighborhoods, the people wanted them back. Like, these are cats being fed in the neighborhood. The friendly guy is their favorite cat in the neighborhood. And he is also the other 4 houses' favorite cat. So when you're spending time finding that cat a home, he already has a home. It's just outdoor and maybe different than the home that we regularly think of as a home. But yeah, I think it just went a little bit faster because I just focused on more of like the data part and like, okay, what am I doing here? There's endless requests and everyone's asking for help, but how can we approach it differently in order to make a difference? And then I still kept going out to different areas in the beginning. And it wasn't until maybe like 2021 when I moved to Sunnyvale is when I started focusing more on Sunnyvale. And I would get distracted and I'd go to San Jose and do some random neighborhood and blah, blah, and then end up coming back to Sunnyvale and being like, I can't do this. This is too much for me. I need to narrow my focus to a smaller area where I can actually have success. And I mean, we were focusing on Sunnyvale before I realized that we could actually make a difference. And when we started this, it was endless. Everyone told me I'm wasting my time. And what was there a point to all this trapping? Like, there's so many people feeding and not fixing the cats and lack of resources. And even animal control, we started working with animal control in Sunnyvale, and they would tell me, I was like, you have to be seeing a difference. Like, we're out there building our trapping team, like within a few years, have 3 or 4 trappers in Sunnyvale going out, doing education. And then animal control is like, nope, not seeing a difference, not seeing a difference. And it really wasn't until end of 2023 that we were like, that's interesting. Our request now, instead of being the entire neighborhood of cats, it was that one house. And we weren't finding 5 to 10 feeders on that same street. It was that one house and that's it. And we were like, oh, there must be an exception, just this neighborhood. But then it kept happening. And then the space between requests kept getting bigger. And so I actually didn't believe fully that we were making an impact until like end of 2023 or about that time. And that's when animal control really told us we are seeing a difference. And that's when they were believers and the shelter started being believers too. So I guess it started also because I took the neighborhood cats targeted TNR training. And so I was like, okay, how do I do this efficiently? And that's what they told me. But it took several years for me to believe it myself.
Yeah. And I usually feel like it takes about 3 to 5 years when you've determined your area that you're going to work with. You will see a difference if you're using a large like municipal area. If you're doing one colony, you can see a 40% reduction within the first year if you're doing one colony because you're pulling kittens out, you're pulling cats that maybe don't need to be there, that have to be removed, might have some compromising situations going on there, whatever. But you'll see a reduction if you're just talking about one colony. But if you're talking about one target region or a municipality or a city with enough resources, you can see significant changes within 3 to 5 years. And you will always see an uptick in the first 12 to 18 months that you start one of these initiatives because you're out there, you're in the community, you're building awareness, and they're like, oh, wow, really? I always thought I should stay away from shelters, animal control and whatever. But if you collaborate and you work together, I have also found that the shelters that you use as your measuring stick may see an uptick for the first like 6 to 12 months, but then they'll start seeing trends lower.
That is interesting because that's exactly what we saw. And in 2021, I think it was like 400 cats that we took in and we helped with. And 2022, our data and the shelter's data increased. So it's probably because we were getting the word out there. And then it was 2023 that started decreasing, and 2024 was like significant decrease to the point from the start 2021 to 2024, it was 40% difference combining our cats with the shelter intake. But it's important to note that the reason we were able to achieve success here was not just us, it's also the shelter. The shelter we're working with it's open intake. They took all animals, all kittens from the public, all feral cats, healthy cats, and they did the decision on, is this a feral cat that needs TNR? Is this the cat we socialize and put up for adoption? And in addition to the shelter, we have animal control that's trapping the cats, lending true cat traps, which for people who don't trap, those are high quality cat traps, to the community, delivering traps, transporting cats to the shelter, all these things. I mean, this is the reason why we could have success here. It's not that we could solve the entire problem if we didn't have the support of the shelter, and we couldn't, because we needed them to handle the adoptions so we could focus on the spay neuter, so we could focus on the community education and also the pet spay neuter. I do also think it would be beneficial to have a shelter that does low income or free pet spay neuter, but that hopefully we can increase offerings of that in the future, which we are.
And yeah, right. I was going to just ask you that question because with my community cat pyramid, so much of it is we are talking targeted, but we're also talking about the layers of the services that we need within the community and doing our own little community needs assessment. So you have to have adoption outlets in your community, whether they're individuals, foster care, sheltering, depending on whether you're rural or urban or suburban, different layers of support there. You have your TNR, Trap Neuter Return program, Trap Neuter Vaccinate Return program, depending on what part of the country you want to use the acronym for. And then you also have the access to affordable spay neuter for your owned cats, the Adam and Eves out there that we want to ensure that they are getting spayed and neutered before they potentially go outside. In Sunnyvale, what is the landscape like for the access to affordable spay neuter for owned cats?
It's not great. We are offering our first free clinic in April for pets at the Sunnyvale Library, but it's a mobile clinic. But there's nothing. I mean, you have to drive. This is the Bay Area, and for some people, driving 30 minutes outside of traffic, which could be up to hour and a half in traffic, is not happening, especially when they have work schedules and it's only on weekdays, and it's still $300 to $500 for low cost. That's just not feasible for most people. And I think during COVID, a lot of the spay neuter program for pets ended. That was one of the motivations for starting the nonprofit, because then we could work with vet clinics and get discounted rates and start paying for people's pets. So yeah, that is something that's definitely missing from the area. And I do feel like when we started, it's like we're just kind of addressing the out of control craziness of the cats that we're breeding. We've done the surface level now, and now we need to go to the next level, which is like, how do we get to these people that aren't asking for help? How do we get to the people whose cats are breeding inside because their neighbors aren't reporting the cats? And that will be an important piece in like actually solving the problem. Like, I don't believe that we've solved the problem in Sunnyvale. Like, yes, we've decreased the number of cats and kittens born on the street significantly, but the problem isn't solved.
For sure. Yeah. And I would be careful saying we're going to solve the problem, because I think it's a sustainability situation. We're going to solve the model for supporting the community to create a humane community for our cats, because we're always going to have systems in place, business models in place that are able to support the needs of the cats in the community. And that now is going to range even farther from the reactive of rescuing kittens and cats and TNR, which I call very kind of reactive, to the more proactive of getting affordable, accessible spay neuter for owned cats in the community. Then there are also considerations of addressing community cat issues when there's a disaster that happens in town, elevating the status of the cat up to a higher level so that it's on an equal plane with other companion animals in the conversation of keeping our cats are part of our family and understanding that. So just creating supportive systems that are able to help holistically with the needs of cats at the particular evolution that your community is at one point in time. So like right now, you're at this infancy to adolescent stage, so the infancy is sort of learning the situation, identifying the challenges, having this overwhelmed feeling of like too many cats, too many calls, too many emails. I can't deal with it. Let's try to sort these calls, put them in different buckets. How can we work efficiently? You're moving into that targeting. So you're in that adolescent area of of the age of the organization where you're going, okay, let's get this grouping of cats that we get 6 calls about these same cats. And so we're going to really focus in on those calls, and then you're going to be like, okay, let's make sure that there are no more cats moving out into the community that are unsterilized. And that's sort of going into the young adult stage, I would say, sort of the lifespan of an organization and the lifespan of a humane cat community. So, everybody is at different life stages of where they are based on the sort of the footprint of cat and what resources have been put out in the community versus what haven't. And so you're evolving because you're talking about getting high quality, high volume spay neuter into the community. So you're doing this growth evolution. So it's interesting. We're seeing organizations, TNR groups, not be the same thing all the time, right? You're evolving and changing as a trap neuter return organization. Your services are changing.
Early on, I was pretty much using all of the appointments at the shelter that were provided to Sunnyvale. And so they weren't really offering to other areas because I was using them all for Sunnyvale. And then through the years, it's like I'm not using the appointments anymore. I'm creating them. So we're still assisting the community. We're creating more appointments. We're creating more pet appointments. So rather than taking the appointments and using them from the community, we're like giving back. And in terms of number of requests, we aren't overwhelmed anymore. We are getting all the requests that come to the shelter, animal control, community, posting on Nextdoor, posting on Facebook groups. I mean, we really put it out there. We are here to help in Sunnyvale. If you have requests, do this form. And it will sometimes be weeks between requests. Like we're not overwhelmed with calls and stuff at the moment. And that's why I'm saying we did the surface level. And again, the colonies we're finding are very isolated. They're very small. And in addition to that, we're calling all the places we did 2021 through 2024. And guess how many new cats they have? Literally 0. Of the 30, 40 places we've called, like 3 or 4 of them have 1 new tomcat. We're not just trapping 80%. We're doing 100%, and we're doing 100% in the entire neighborhood. I mean, we're going back to get those tomcats. Yes, they only come at like 2 a.m., but we're going to get them. But so far, 0 new females in any of the colonies that we've trapped at. And I think that's because when we do the house, we're doing the neighborhood education. We're doing 50 to 100 flyers in the entire neighborhood. And we've already done the big, heavy lifting of these large colonies. And I think just the nature of having a shelter that's supportive in animal control has really expedited this as a success for a young organization and a small organization. But having had the resources and just, I guess, the technology through like cameras and remote control traps, I've really branched out into those like TNR groups and learning and reading and sharing techniques and bringing trappers together. Like that way I was able to trap efficiently very early on in the process. And I think that made a big difference in the city. And at some point, like in December, I mean, this year, we haven't helped too many requests, pretty small ones with like maybe 3 or 5 cats. And then we've done 2 like major indoor hoarding situations that were pretty big. One of them had over 120 cats. So those are still, that's what I'm saying. We did the surface level, but the hidden ones, we need to be like the trusted contact of the city. Like people need to know to find us in order to make the next level of impact, and also through the pets. And that's why we're doing the library mobile clinic. And I'm hoping that the city will see the importance of this and see the importance of prevention. It's hard when we're surrounded by cities that are very overwhelmed and don't have any resources. We also get the influx of those cats. So then we have to make sure we address that. But just convincing city officials that it's so important to fund spay neuter and have programs like this. And we could continue offering mobile clinics at the library if we get funding for it. And look, people are signing up. They need this. Where else are they going to go? And when we do that, also people in other cities are like, please do this in our city. If you find funding, we're happy to do it.
Every day, cats are born without homes, and the cycle keeps repeating unless we step up with real solutions. That's where Spay Neuter comes in, and why the 2025 United Spay Alliance online conference on October 11th and 12th is so critical. This 2-day virtual event presented by the United Spay Alliance and the Community Cats podcast brings together leading experts to share proven strategies for stopping pet overpopulation at the source. You'll learn how to build or expand affordable spay-neuter programs, secure funding, collaborate with local officials, and create sustainable solutions that save more cats. If we don't act, shelters stay overwhelmed, rescues stay full, and cats pay the price. But with the right tools and knowledge, you can be part of turning the tide. Registration includes access to recordings and resources. Don't wait. This is your chance to be part of the solution. Visit communitycatspodcast.com/UnitedSpay to register today. That's communitycatspodcast.com/UnitedSpay to register for this important event.
When we launched the Community Cats podcast, our goal was simple: share stories and strategies to help cat lovers turn their passion into action. But something amazing happened. Our community grew, and so did our mission. Over the years, we've added webinars, conferences, certification courses, downloadable tools, and a whole lot more to support people who care about cats. So it's time for our name to reflect everything we do. The podcast isn't going anywhere, but our overall platform is rebranding as Community Cat Central. It's the same team, the same heart, and the same commitment, just with a fresh new look and even better ways to help you take action for cats in your community. You'll start seeing updates soon, including a brand new website, smarter email tools, and resources that are easier to access and use. We're so grateful to have you on this journey with us, and we can't wait to show you what's next.
Are you getting your message across to your entire community? Do they know what programs you offer and what they can do to help? Learn more about how to effectively market your organization, or just sharpen your skills with a free self-paced marketing course, The Fundamentals of Marketing on Maddie's University. The course is designed to provide a basic understanding of marketing and provide you with templates and tools to elevate and improve your organization's brand, voice, and audience, and have fun while doing it. You'll receive a strategic marketing plan template to download free. Go to university.maddiesfund.org and search marketing to enroll now.
Well, it's about creating models. And back in the 90s in Massachusetts, we had what were called cat action teams. And so each city and town had their own little cat action team. It was okay. We all respected one another. And we modeled a lot of it after the Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society or the Neponset Valley Humane Society, which was also down on the South Shore, which sort of did the same thing, but on the South Shore of Massachusetts. And so we had these models. And the one thing that they needed from us, though, was access to affordable spay-neuter. And so that's why we created MASH-style spay-neuter clinics that were run with volunteer vets and technicians that could do up to about 100 to 120 cats on a Sunday. When any cat in a trap on a Sunday that showed up was done, we didn't geo-target at that. We let that be open and part of the community because that helped support some of these groups as they were building and growing and developing. And then once their numbers got to a point where they were under control in their area, then they went to the local vet for the onesie twosies. The smaller numbers, they could afford the higher amount with the local veterinarian. And so then they weren't using our clinics. And so now it's about a 2 to 2.5 hour drive that groups are coming in with cats. And it's just because that we've created such a big moat around that area that there's not the need for the support locally as it's building in. So I'm not surprised that you're getting those calls saying, can't you come over to my house? But it's more like, let me help you set up I think I've had 3 to 5 volunteers from Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society spin off and create their own 501c3 organizations. And so what can we do as mentors to help others set up their own 501c3? And they don't have to set up their own 501c3. They don't have to be nonprofit. There are some pretty cool models out there of other organizations that will act as the fiscal sponsor. So you don't have to go through the 501c3 process, or you can do fundraising campaigns, but it's going through a 501c3, so you can get those donations that require a 501c3 status, but you don't have to do that top of the house work, and you can still focus on that. So you could have like these sub, community cat action teams, and then you're the mentoring model helping support them locally and build from there.
That's kind of what we do. I've been focusing more on talking about Sunnyvale, but we're Bay Area cats. We do a lot of the Bay Area, and we do support giving people appointments. I mean, we're doing probably 80 to 90% of our appointments actually go to San Jose of what we do. It's just Sunnyvale is smaller, and the number of cats that need to be fixed here is smaller. But I trap in Sunnyvale, so that's why this has been about Sunnyvale, and we've had our kind of model introduced with the education and the mass trapping and getting pets and working with animal control, like that is more success in Sunnyvale, also because of the support of having an open intake shelter. But we do have specific trappers that focus in zones in San Jose personally to prioritize our appointments for the people who are doing effective trapping, neighborhood trapping in certain zip codes, in certain areas of San Jose. But we also open to anyone who's willing to trap. So those appointments at the clinics are mostly going for people who are in San Jose. And yeah, at this time, we're not extending past the pretty much South Bay area. But if someone comes in with a pregnant cat or urgent situation somewhere nearby, we would help them.
Let's go back to your origin story. Here you are, your new group, you're new to town. You said you moved into Sunnyvale. How'd you get buy-in in this collaborative relationship?
I think it was just over time. I mean, I started trapping in Sunnyvale and working with animal control because the rule of the shelter was they had to take all cats from Sunnyvale, but there was just a little bit of difficulty getting them to take feral cats in the beginning. So I worked with animal control then, and I think we just stayed in touch occasionally. Like I'd be like, I need some help with the situation, and they'd help out. I had an issue with people feeding wildlife, and it was interfering with our trapping. So they put like an official animal control sign about feeding wildlife. And just over the years, I guess I kept them updated on these projects, or I was like, hey, we're looking for kittens in this neighborhood. So we just kind of stay in touch. And then at some point they encountered a situation that was like 56 cats or something. It was just like, how long is that going to take animal control to do when they work from 8 to 5 and have to do all these other things? And we could do it in literally 3 days. So they were like, oh, okay, he said you could contact him. So they have some restrictions on what they're able to share with us, and they're not able to recommend a third party organization. So there was some complications with that. But if they got permission from the homeowner, they could share the contact information. And we just started helping them with these bigger projects. And I think when they realized that it was very beneficial to have this relationship, it just kind of continued from there. But we did operate without animal control or working directly with them probably for a couple of years. So we had to establish credibility that way. Coming into Sunnyvale, I had already formed our website and our Facebook group. So when we're posting on Nextdoor, like we have our little logo and our Bay Area cats can help in Sunnyvale. So we just post our flyer and hand out the flyers. But it's definitely also been helpful to partner with the shelter for Sunnyvale, which was Humane Society, Silicon Valley, and they're very well known and very well respected. So when we are saying we're taking the cats to Humane Society, they're very supportive of getting help because it was a very trusted organization that they're willing to take the cat, like let us take the cats to. So that, like, we're kind of piggybacking on them. That helps too. I think just over time with animal control, and just they see that it saves them time, and then they're able to focus on other things.
So it's a give and take relationship, and it sounds like you are a good communicator. So you're not always reaching out to animal control, like going, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. You're saying, how can we work together? Can you help me? Can I help you? What can we do to help make your job easier, our job easier, and the lives better for cats? So rather than going at an animal control officer, it's a friendship. I mean, it's a colleague friendship. And so just trying to put it out there. I'm a big fan of creating relationships with professionals, with other volunteers, with everybody, just being respectful and also doing it at all times, not just when there's, a house with 60 cats down the street. Why aren't you doing something about this, right? That's not going to go over well with anybody. And so it's more of a, we work together. Here's a challenging situation. How can we collaborate in order to make it work for everybody?
Yeah, I think that's also part of the basis of like the organization is like bringing people together. Like early on, we started trapping meetups, and we'd have like little raffles for some fancy feast, like fish and shrimp, which is our trapping bait. And then we'd sometimes do these floor slicing parties. So we cut the flooring for the traps so that the cats aren't on the wire. And I would just meet random people in line at the shelter when you would turn in cats and just be like, oh, let's work together. Like, why does this have to be an isolating experience? It's just more fun to do it together, and you have support and help. And it's a lot when you're doing it all by yourself. And that's why Sunnyvale has been successful is because I have people that can help me. And if I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, can someone come help me clean these traps? We have drivers that will help. Like, I hardly drive my own cats now. I don't have time for that. I have to be organizing appointments and doing the actual trapping or managing our clinics. Like, there's just so many things to plan and organize and emails. I need help in order to do all the things we do. Like, I couldn't do this alone. Same as being connected to the shelters and the rescue that are helping with adoptions. Everyone's playing a different part of this being successful.
Just curious, you had mentioned that the numbers at Sunnyvale had changed. I don't know if you have any specific numbers that you'd like to share.
Yeah, sure. I wrote down some data points here. If we add the intake cats combined with the ones that I took through their TNR program in 2022, it was 1,519. And in 2024, it was 878. So this is over 40% decrease. And also what animal control told me is that they get public service requests, which are mostly, I said that they lend out the true catch traps. They said almost all of those are trap rental requests. And that has also declined over 50% from 132 to 61 last year. And just overall, our number of requests have gone down by over 50%. What I like to do is just collect data on everything we've done, collect data on every cat I've trapped, when it was trapped, photo of the cat, what colony it's part of, who's feeding the cat. Having all this information is useful in the future. If I end up in the street nearby or someone says there's kittens in this neighborhood, I'm like, oh, great, I already know 3 feeders. So just creating a map of all the different feeders around Sunnyvale. And we've been able to accomplish a lot by just recording the data, knowing who's feeding in the community, and making sure we get as many spayed and neutered as we can.
Do you have a sense of the number of cats in Sunnyvale that, are in the community that are being fed?
I find it hard to calculate that. I mean, we've literally been door to door at over 10,000 houses. I think there's something like 56,000 houses. Might be more. I think there's about 150,000 residents here, but we've gone to a significant number of the houses. We've been on the street, walking in almost every neighborhood.
So, Vanessa, if folks are interested in finding out more about the work that you're doing, how can they find you?
Yeah, they can visit our website, bayareacats.org, or follow us on Instagram, which is Bay Area TNR.
And is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I would say, don't forget the importance of spay neuter in your community. This is what impacts the number of cats and kittens entering the shelter. And don't forget to support the organizations that are making a difference in the amount of spay neuter in your area through pets, through TNR. Any type of spay neuter is great.
Vanessa, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on the show, and I hope we'll have you on in the future. I'd love to hear how things go as you continue to grow.
That's it for this week. Please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. We love to hear what you think, and a 5-star review really helps others find the show. You can also join the conversation with listeners, cat caretakers, and me on Facebook and Instagram. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single show. Thanks for listening, and thank you for everything that you do to help create a safe and healthy world for cats.